Welcome to the feature match area here at GP Lille, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Riley Knight. I'll be your steady hand on the tiller as we navigate these turbulent waters. And my co-captain here, well, I say co-captain, very much the admiral of the fleet. Hats off to you, Commodore. It is Simon Goertzen.
And my good friend Helmut Sommersberger is in the feature match area. Old school pro from Austria.
And look at this, playing Demir Surveil as well. I like to see that. I mean, we've seen blue-black control more or less eclipsed by Teferi. Blue-black control almost always played in the Esper colours to include the powerful Planeswalker. But I'm very interested to see exactly what Herr Sommersberger is up to here. Davide Capiello is on what looks like a pretty clean Jeskai build here. Deafening Clarion already in the bin after a search for as counter trigger here. Obviously doesn't value it very highly right now.
Understandably.
And another one as well. He's like, no, I don't want it at all.
Oh, perfect library order there.
Yep. But no, not so perfect actually, because he doesn't have a fourth land to play. And for a Jeskai control list, that's a bit of an issue.
For any control list, really, yeah. Something that many players don't realize is when your control opponent doesn't play lands, you don't have to play into their counters a lot of the times.
Yeah.
You can just let them sit there and stew while they are potentially...
That's what they're doing. No, it's a good observation. They do very you know, as a control player myself, sit there and when you don't... This sucks, everything's terrible. But Capiello is given the luxury of casting one of his cards. Negate is going to remove the Thought Erasure. I love to see that. Always counter the Thoughtseize if you can, because they're going to take a card anyway, so you may as well not give them the information. Now, Simon, is she the one erasing thoughts, or is she having her thoughts erased?
She's the one erasing, and she's also speaking the words in the flavor text, as you can see from the look on her face.
Oh, right. Okay, so this is like a pensive type situation. Yeah, she's very much... She's gone to town on Professor Snape here and taken out his deepest, darkest secrets.
You're either sitting across from her, or maybe your position is even worse.
Man, no, but she's erasing the thoughts of someone else, of you.
Yep.
Oh, that's horrific. That's horrific. Wow, this card has just gotten even more brutal for me now. And we see here, get a good look at what's going on in Sommersberger's hand here, because I think Davide Capiello cast an expansion on the Thought Erasure, so he's going to get to do a little bit of pensiving himself here.
Yeah, that's one of these fun things to do with the expansion side of the split card. Quite underrated still, I believe. Suddenly, that Search for a Skandar is looking really nice.
Doing a good job of filling up his graveyard here is Capiello, and he needs that fourth land anyway. He can muster it, so this may be the way to do it. I've got the list in front of me here, Simon. Let's have a look at exactly what he's working with. We saw earlier in the day a much heavier white component in a Jeskai control is played by Thiago Saporito. This time around, however, Davide Capiello has got a much lighter commitment to white. He is playing 2 copies of Cleansing Nova and a Settle the Wreckage, but nothing silly like Revitalize, which I'm a huge fan. I love the Revitalize.
The big question is, does he play any creatures?
Yes, he does. He's playing 3 copies of Crackling Drake and Niv Mizzet in the board along with Lyra Dawnbringer. I know that's not hugely relevant in game number 1, of course, but this is going to turn on opposing removal. And you're not a huge fan of that, Simon.
No, because once I saw Thiago Saporito's deck, I just fell in love immediately. 0 creatures. Sure, you play some Revitalizes, but that's okay.
Yeah,
that's fine.
No, it's fine. It's actually pretty sweet. Stabilize you against mono red, which we haven't seen a lot of this weekend.
So let's talk about what Helmut Sommersberger is up to.
Let's talk about it, Simon.
Disinformation campaign.
Which information campaign?
That information campaign.
I see.
Is that the right answer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Doom Whisperers, Blood Operative. I don't know. That it looks like a draft deck.
Kind of does, doesn't it? This card's bonkers.
A good one. Though.
Yeah, no, very good. I mean, a very good one. He's got 4 copies of Doom Whisperer, so something really went right in the draft for him here. But no, Disinformation campaign has been something that I've lost to 1,000 times in draft. And you know, it is enormously powerful engine. Enormously powerful it is. And if you can get that online, it is a great way to contest the late game, but it's a very resource-intensive, very resource-heavy thing to commit to here.
The crazy thing about that card is, even without the second paragraph, it's like a good magic card, right? Divination draws you 2 cards. That one, Mind Rot discards 2. that one does half of each, and then it sticks around and you can reuse it. It's crazy.
And if you've set up an engine where you're constantly surveilling, constantly bouncing it back and forth between your hands, and you're gonna just bury them in incremental advantage. But it really is death by 1,000 cuts, and a lot of decks you would think are able to contest that. There's an Essence Scatter here from Capiello's activation as Cantor, which has just eaten a Field of Ruin here. And
it seems to me that Helmut going into this matchup, he's also going for the very long game. He knows that he has enough answers for those few Crackling Drakes and Teferis, and he, I think, can just play a game where he grinds out a Jeskai control opponent.
And see, the Crackling Drakes in this situation here, I mean, when are they good? When are they actually good? When you've got the game under firm control and you need a way to end the game quickly?
But you don't. If you have the game under control, you have a Teferi
exactly.
to
like
win.
that'll win. Or if you really, if you're sitting next to obnoxious opponents who won't concede in the face of certain defeat, then you I don't know, you play a Nezahal or something here. But I'm seeing another Thought Erasure now from Zummersberger. I don't like the Crackling Drake. I mean, I like the card in a vacuum. I think it's great, but I don't like playing it in a control deck when without it you have a clean, clear-cut, creatureless control deck.
I agree. Training Wheels, right? It's the kind of card that feels like it's doing something.
Yeah.
But maybe you could have built your deck like Thiago Saporito.
Yeah.
And just been better off.
I think we all should aspire to be a little bit more like Thiago Saporito, to be honest. The world would be a better place. Here's Chemist's Insight. Draw 2. Finds a Cleansing Nova and a Settle the Wreckage. Both of those cards are real stinkers at the moment. There's nothing doing on Zummersberger's side of the battlefield. In addition to Essence Scatter as well. Ugh, Capiello's hand is not great. Looks a bit more like a wrist than a hand, to be honest. Here's Discovery. Everyone get ready to rotate your monitor 90 degrees as Discovery Dispersal comes up on the card viewer there. It's easier than rotating your neck.
Not everyone has that technology, though.
The
monitor
automated
rotating.
Automated rotator.
And if you do it on your phone, then it'll just auto-rotate
Oh,
back.
that's the worst, isn't it? That's a real beat. That's a real beat. So. Capiello now. Looks like he was able to put that Settle the Wreckage to some use in jump-starting a Chemist's Insight, at least. Back to Zummersberger now, who fires off another Discovery Dispersal.
Managed to put Blood Operative into the graveyard now.
Nice. Going to return it to his hand as well after having surveilled. It's a nice tidy little package, the Blood Operative.
I agree. Also something that if you can't syncopate him, I guess, I don't know, kind of tricky to deal with.
Yeah, indeed. What is going on with those knives? Just get rid of the bloody Kylo Ren thing on the side and just use a normal dagger. What is going on with you, mate?
Yeah, it's also not very subtle, right?
It's not very subtle at all. You've got these weird, and that is, I mean, you are just asking for a torn cloak as well.
It's just like, look at me, I'm an assassin.
Oh, I'm an assassin, guys. Look at me, I'm a big vampire assassin. I'm going to get you. No subtlety here. No subtlety whatsoever. Work in the shadows, my friends. Deafening Clarion hits the bin now, thanks to the Chemist's Insight jumpstart. Capiello finds another Deafening Clarion. He's found all 4 so far, and he hasn't cast a single one of them. 3 have ended up in the bin all the same. Looks like he's just digging for lands, however.
Deafening Clarion does make those Crackling Drakes kind of cool, because it survives it, and you actually get some value from the lifelink.
Here's a Disinformation Campaign, however.
Now we're talking.
And Davide Capiello has succeeded in putting 4 copies of Deafening Clarion into his graveyard without casting a single one. So, with the Disinformation Campaign alive and well, it's back to Capiello.
And you said that there's no Nif Mizzet in the main deck.
Nope.
So Capiello doesn't really have any threats that are going to stick so easily.
So, looks like we've tuned in, Simon, to an old-timey 50s radio, to a some kind of pop station. And what's that? Oh, it's my favorite song, In My Feelings. But the radio's so old, Simon. It's a bit of a crackling Drake song.
Oh. I didn't know where this was going.
I thought it was pretty good. Needed a bit of a run-up, and I also did need to Google the name of a Drake song. I didn't know any of them. Oh, no, Hotline Bling. I did know that one.
Nice use of Blink of an Eye here.
Hotline Blink of an Eye?
I like this card.
It's very good.
I've liked it even when it had another name.
I liked it, yeah. I mean, I liked it before it was cool. I liked it when it was Into the Royal. Here's another Thought Erasure now. I think that's the fourth one from Zummersberger. He gets to tear apart the hand of Cap. Oh, Capiello, mate! Cast the Iron Eyes. What are you doing? This also enables the disinformation campaign to come back to the hand.
I think Iron Eyes costs 3. That's
he doesn't have
probably the reason.
That's probably the reason why. That's a very good reason as well. I'll let him get away with that one.
Could we see Cleansing Nova on Disinformation campaign?
Oh, the secret mode. The flavor text mode on Cleansing Nova here. Oh, look at this. The party's cancelled before it's even started. As the crackling Drake gets taken off the airways. Are you a fan of Drake, the singer?
No.
No. I haven't listened to any of his music, but he does seem like a stand-up guy. There's one video I watched where he dressed up. He put like a disguise on, like a wig and a beard and that sort of stuff, and went out onto in LA somewhere, and went around doing doorstop interviews of people in public, asking them what they thought of Drake. And like, I don't know, like some of his music and all that sort of stuff, and I don't know. He seems like a bit of like this sort of thing. And then after one guy's just absolutely completely slated him, he just pulls his beard off. He's like, "What's up, man?" And the guy's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
We should do that just with Magic coverage.
Yeah, except no one would recognize us. Like I take off my fake beard and they'd be like, "Sorry, who are you again?" It's like, "Riley, you've seen me, coverage, Pro Tour coverage." Sorry, man, not Marshall. Are you Marshall? Isn't he tall? I'm like, I'm not Marshall. Anyway, it's a good idea. Maybe you could get away with it. The face of German Magic. Now that's Mark Tobias. Yeah, we got no chance.
Come on.
What?
Currently, it's Mark Tobias.
Okay, you're saying that in the overall scheme of things, you're the face of German Magic? I got 2 words for you, my friend.
Kai Buddha.
Kai Buddha.
Yeah, you can't beat Kai.
You can't beat Kai. I mean, then there's your brothers as well. I mean, Dominic Gertzen is...
I have two.
You're Dominic Gertzen
both more talented. Yeah.
Exactly. They got 2 Pro Tour victories each, Simon. So, Zummersberger now. Here's the Blood Operative. And let's see what he wants to exile here. I don't think there's anything hugely useful in Capiello's graveyard right now. No Chemist's Insights or anything. But we'll have a good look. No, we won't. Essence Scatter is going to remove the Blood Operative from the equation right now. But, I mean, it won't be too long before that's back in his hand. Daggers or no, Simon?
And that has to be part of the plan, right? You let that Blood Operative get countered. You get it back. You have a lot of life to work with. As long as you're careful not to get Explosion out of the game.
Yeah. 3 copies of which is are in Capiello's list. Excuse me for my slight fumble there. So for 4 mana now, what's Zummersberger working with? Oh, even 5. Are we going to see a Doom Whisperer? Yes, we are. All right, so another counter spell here from Capiello, which Zummersberger knew about. Just trying to run him out of resources, I suppose.
Well, and that cannot be allowed to resolve.
Yes, of course. Yeah,
very obviously.
More or less forcing the response there with Iron Eyes, removing the Nightmare Demon. Tell you what, I wouldn't want to meet that guy in a dark alley.
No.
I wouldn't know which hand to shake. I'd feel so rude. So, Capiello. Expansion Explosion in hand, which he can cast for 8 at the moment. I don't know. Maybe he can chain them and just burn Zummersberger out from 15.
If one of them resolves, he's in a great spot.
I think so. I mean, he'll just draw. It's like Sphinx Revelation, right? The first one draws you the second one.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a second Doom Whisperer and a second Iron Eyes now from Capiello.
I have to tell you this great story of how my opponent tried to kill me with Explosion in Limited.
Okay.
But targeted themselves with the draw a card ability. draw card ability,
Yeah.
and then they lost on decking while killing me, so it was a draw. So if they target me with both modes,
Of
then
course.
I'm just dead.
So they died to decking at the same time that you died to lethal damage, because that all happens at the same time.
Yeah,
That's pretty funny.
It was just because they were greedy. They also wanted the cards.
So was this IRL or was this
No, online.
online? So wow, I've never seen that before. That here's the explosion now for 5 for 4. What does that look like? Like in terms of interface?
Oh, okay. You go to 0.
Yeah.
The opponent's library goes to 0,
Yeah.
and then there's something that pops up. The game is a draw.
Oh right, because I've never seen
I
that.
think it says something like player A loses because of that, and player B loses because of drawing from an empty library.
Yeah, because I've never seen that. It doesn't have any sort of like cards bouncing across the screen like when you win a game of solitaire.
No.
That's very
No, but
unfortunate.
I was fist bumping. Never celebrated a draw.
Yeah.
A draw more than that.
Yeah, you got away with murder there. Here's another disinformation campaign, or maybe you need the same one here. Zummersberger getting full value out of this, playing 4 copies of it. And we're really seeing the power of the engine right now.
Also for Doom Whisperers, which is very scary.
And here's the Eldest Reborn. This one's going to resolve. Doesn't do anything right here. But Capiello's going to have to find some kind of response, because with only 1 card in hand, 2 cards now, he's going to lose one of them to the Eldest Reborn by the look of things.
It all comes down to whether Capiello can resolve Teferi and get it to stick, or one of these explosions.
Right now, he's very short on action, I think it's fair to say.
But he has a Teferi, I believe.
In hand?
It's just a bit scary to play that when Eldest Reborn is about to go off.
Because if Zummersberger has any way to kill the Teferi.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think you're winning by not casting anything. Your situation is just not getting better.
Yes. So here is the Hero of Dominaria. And, going to tuck away the Eldest Reborn.
Aggressive, but also a nice way to at least make Vraska's Contempt a bit weaker.
I have a feeling that Capiello's last card is a good one, but a reactive one, and that he didn't want to lose it. It may indeed just be a counterspell here. Well, for 4 mana, Zummersberger might force the issue with his next play. We'll see a Vraska's Contempt, but no, Capiello's not going to contest it. And away goes the Hero of Dominaria. Again, we all know you obviously have to exile Teferi, the Hero of Dominaria, because as we know, Simon, heroes never die. Wow, you really blanked me on that one. Not an Overwatch fan, huh?
No.
Okay, never mind.
GG, easy.
Back to Capiello. No, it's not GG easy. It's Mum, it's nearly my bedtime. Have you seen this?
Yeah, that's why I said
Oh, that's why you said it. Yeah. Good games, well played. It was an honor to play with you all. Here's a second Teferi now. And this one's going upstairs.
So, did Helmut just run out of steam?
Looks like
after all this time?
Looks like it. Even with the disinformation campaign. Here's the Eldest Reborn that's been redrawn.
That was a rhyme.
Oh, yeah. I'm a poet and I wasn't even aware of it. But this one's that's surprising to me that resolved. I mean, unfortunately, Capiello unable to find the counter magic he needed to contest the saga here.
Yeah, these very late stages of the game are pretty surprising to me. Also, Zummersberger somehow not managing to get a Surveil card to stick.
Crackling Drake now. And Capiello draws, plays a Sacred Foundry. Still got a reasonably full grip. And if he's playing lands, you'd think he's got another one in hand to discard to the Eldest Reborn.
When you're looking at these kind of matchups, what is always the key question, or one of the first questions you should ask yourself is, who wins in the super drawn-out late game? And I think both players were kind of working their way towards that late game and just figuring out on the fly who would be able to win that.
Crackling Drake eats a cast down, and this is the downside of playing cards like Crackling Drake in an otherwise creatureless control deck. Just turns on a card like cast down, which in other situations would do stone cold nothing.
And Capiello is on empty.
Yep. So the Eldest Reborn was, I mean, the birth was kind of put off. You know, they called the hospital and said, yeah, no, look, nothing doing. We'll come back in a couple of weeks. And now it's popping off the top. the story is finished. The third chapter comes to its thrilling conclusion here. And it's going to be either a Doom Whisperer back from Zummersberger, but I like the look of the Teferi in Capiello's list, in Capiello's graveyard.
Does he have one in the graveyard?
Yeah, it died to the Eldest Reborn.
I thought heroes never die.
Well, once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for all the support and encouragement you've given me over my long coverage career here with a fantastic team, but it is time for me to step down. For the second time today, I'm resigning. It's got absolutely torn apart. I mean, I don't have anything else to say, Simon. You're going to have to pick up. You do it, man.
I was just relishing the moment. I do like the Doom Whisperer here. I mean, you have something on the battlefield. You get your disinformation campaigns back, and suddenly, Zommersberger is actually playing the game that I expected him to play, which is through Surveil, effectively grinding out even the Jeska control deck.
Disinformation campaign once again here for Capiello has to discard. He's got plenty of lands to do exactly that, however. I think he's running on fumes here.
He needs to top deck into Teferi or Explosion.
Yeah, just something that's going to... I mean, an Explosion would be perfect, right?
And
ends the game on the spot.
He's used most of his card draw spells, I believe. I think there were 3 Chemist's Insight in his Exile Zone already.
Yep. He's got one more.
Does he have lethal with the Explosion?
Yes, he does. With a land in hand, he does. Oh, no, excuse me. No, he's still one short. Yep, he can do it for 9.
So that might be the last straw that he's drawing towards.
Another disinformation campaign takes that Sulphur Falls out of the equation altogether here, however. And now, Zummersberger, a full hand that's only going to get fuller. Capiello finds a land. Mate, play it.
And Zummersberger actually has counter backup. Even if it's just a syncopate, it's probably going to be good enough.
Is this one in the books?
I think so.
Wow. Helmut Zummersberger. Giving us all something to think about now. He's going to Surveil 2, of course. Pick up both of those campaigns. Is that a third one on the top as well? He's going to put them both in the bin. Doesn't want them, doesn't need them. I think the other one is a Ritual of Soot there. So the 2 disinformation campaigns. Draws for the turn after having surveilled in the upkeep. Here's disinformation campaign number 1. Away goes the Steam Vents. Just should have played it, man.
Very optimistic.
Yeah.
I'm just going to hold on to that.
Maybe they'll play around it.
Bluff something.
Yep. Didn't work out too well here. And now a Blood Operative as well here. It's going to be a way for Zummersberger to buffer his life total. Not that he needs to do that. The game's going to be over in just a turn or two here, you would think.
Yeah, you would think he doesn't even need the Blood Operative because it doesn't add to the clock.
Maybe like a Cleansing Nova off the top. But even then, now Zummersberger is playing very well indeed because not only a counter, but also he can just cast the other disinformation campaign to remove any reactive spell. So, in for 9 here. Capiello down to 3. Zummersberger up to 11. And here's another Blood Operative. These fancy Vampire Assassins getting it done. Crackling Drake off the top here for Capiello. He's going to play it. It's huge. I'll give it that much anyway.
Yeah, should give it haste.
Yeah, it would have been a very, very different ball game if that were the case. Mountain off the top. Cast down your Crackling Drake. And that's going to be enough there. Look at that. A rueful end to a game that was looking pretty good for Davide at one point, but Zummersberger came up trumps, and I really have to give full credit to this weird and wacky list he's playing, Simon.
So at the beginning, it looked like the Demer deck was heavily favored, and then somehow it looked like it might run out of steam, and there was some kind of really stupid situation where a single top-decked explosion would just basically undo everything you've done until that point. But Zummersberger did have just enough counter magic and ultimately his own surveil cards to get there.
And just the pure velocity of this deck as well. Once the disinformation campaign, is flourishing, once those nasty whispers are being heard on all street corners here, Capiello can't really come back from that. Zummersberger was contesting with a full grip. Capiello had very little action of his own, and especially when you're playing reactive cards, I mean, all those counterspells look very silly.
It's actually super interesting, especially with the 4 discovery dispersal. It almost reminds me, and bear with me here for a second, it reminds me of the Izzet Phoenix deck, because that also has a super high velocity and wants to cast a bunch of spells. And Helmut's spells are just different. He wants to go off with Disinformation Campaign. He wants to cast those spells that surveil more than, for example, Aftermath cards. But ultimately, his game plan is actually quite similar. He has recursive threats. He has a huge threat in the Doom Whisperer. And because he's playing black-blue instead of red-blue, he actually gets access to Restless Contempt.
Much better removal, yeah. Which also helps to buffer the life total, very important, as well as contesting opposing Planeswalkers, which we've seen is critical, especially against the Golgari Menace. I'm interested to see what Zummersberger's post-board plan is for control here. Obviously, he needs to take out, the dead weights, the cast downs, what have you. But he's a little light on anti-control cards. Only 2 copies of Duress, maybe a Disdainful Stroke and a search for Azcanta as well, but not a lot going on in his board that really excites me.
I do see a few more cards. The search for Azcanta there, the Eldest Reborn, maybe the Immortal Sun, and a Thief of Sanity could be kind of a surprise creature that Capiello isn't expecting. Ultimately, honestly, if I look at the main deck, you mentioned a few cards, but what is that? That's 1 dead weight, 2 Rituals of Suit.
2 cast down.
Sure.
Don't want that garbage in there.
That's 5 cards.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
If I look at this list, I don't put a ton of anti-control cards in my sideboard.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, once I start taking out counter magic or maybe discoveries, I'm not really feeling like I'm adding percentage points to the matchup anymore.
I like the way the threats line up against control as well. Blood Operative is a difficult card for control decks to consistently deal with. It's going to come back and back and back, and they're not putting the pressure on your life total to where the life payment is too much of a liability. We don't have a huge number of exile effects in standard being played by control. I mean, there's Seal Away, which is a good answer to it, but that's in diminished numbers.
That's not even being played at the moment, I believe.
I don't think so. No, because there's stuff like Justice Strike, for example.
And then Doom Whisperer is also huge, because even if you deal with it, once it has resolved, the Dimir Surveil deck can just surveil for, let's say, 6. Maybe find 1 Blood Operative, and the chain starts going again. So it's actually a very scary card. You almost cannot let it resolve in this kind of matchup.
Well, Dimir Surveil may be putting itself on the map here with this strong performance so far with Helmut Zummersberger. He's gone 5-0, and Simon, you mentioned that this is a bloke with quite a powerful competitive pedigree.
Yes, in my generation, Helmut is really well known, not just in Europe, but basically worldwide. And he's taken a step back. He isn't as focused on Magic anymore, but any European GP, he will be there, and he's just enjoying Magic so much. Actually, I meet him quite a lot when traveling. He often flies from Munich airport, and then I get the I get the inside scoop on his deck choice.
Well, I'm very interested to get a bit more of an inside scoop on this list, and I hope it does well further into day number 2. And of course, if he wins this game, he'll have made it all the way across the line, as we are well and truly in the realm of win and in Magic, and it's not looking good for Davide Capiello right now as he mulligans to 6. At 5-0, he's still got plenty of time to find that day 2 berth and from there, contest Sunday. But right now, he's in a rough spot.
Also, a mulligan isn't the end of the world.
Okay, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's not. I mean,
you're not happy about it.
You're not high-fiving anyone about it.
Do you have to be on the play in this matchup? I know I should answer that instead of asking you.
Simon, I've got a question here about this matchup. Do you think it's better to have to be on the play or the draw in this matchup?
I think being on the draw is definitely a consideration. It's kind of scary if the Disinformation Campaign resolves and you would have had a counter for it on turn 3. But on the other hand, every card matters. So if I'm playing against a deck where I know that they have 4 Thought Erasures and are playing also a super long, grindy, reactive game, I'm definitely considering putting my opponents on the play.
I think it's a reasonable thing to do, especially when you've got 2 copies of Negate, 2 copies of Syncopate, some ways to interact with that Disinformation Campaign on turn number 3, even when you're on the draw there.
I just don't see the major benefits of being on the play.
Now, Davide Capiello, this could go one of two ways here. He can either peel lands and look like an absolute hero, or head down to the town hall for his inauguration as the mayor of Greed City, because this keep is pretty loose.
Yeah, and Greed City is not where you want to be. Value Town is where it's at.
Value Town is where it's at, and yes, indeed, if you are the Lord Chamberlain of Value Town, certainly you're going to be in a better position against the 6-card hand that Capiello kept here. Let's see what he's got. Oh, I love it. I love it.
That was a power move.
That was a real power. He was just flexing on Zummersberger there. He's just like, yeah, you got your duress? Well, check this out. I love to see that sort of stuff. Blink of an eye off the top here for Capiello. Less convincing now, Simon.
I should have slammed it into play.
And here's a disinformation campaign. Now, that Syncopate has been taken out of the equation, so Capiello without a great response to it. And it looks like he's going to discard. This one might be over before it's begun. Niv Mizzet, the Parun, hits the bin. What is a Parun, Simon?
Is that a word that exists outside of Magic? I thought it was just on Ravnica, like some kind of...
It's a small town in the Parun district of Afghanistan,
No,
also known as Prazun and Prazungal.
That's not it.
It's not Niv Mizzet from Parun in Afghanistan? No, I think, okay, it is. It's a word that refers to the original founders of the guilds of Ravnica.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right.
Most of them dead.
But as we already know, dragons never die. Actually, a lot of dragons do die. Thanks to people like me, knights. Stick our sword in them.
And Nicol Bolas. And time.
Yeah, well, there's lots. Yeah, I guess. Okay, well, what is the leading course of dragon death? Is it time, or is it knights on horses with swords? Probably the latter, I would say.
Yep.
Exactly. So, Thought Erasure gets targeted by Expansion, which then gets targeted by a Syncopate, and Zummersberger has his pick of the litter here, can take one of these two Planeswalkers or the Iron Eyes, and is going to go after the Counterspell. Only relevant card in the hand of Capiello right now.
Well, I wouldn't say only relevant card, but it is the
card. Well, right now,
that,
I'm saying.
It is the card that would stop the next Disinformation campaign from coming down, and I think Zummersberger is just, even against land Planeswalker, he knows that he's going to be able to to force Capiello into a double discard over the next 2 turns.
And this is what I'm saying. The Iron Eyes is the only relevant card right here and right now, and given the fact that Capiello is drawing all tap lands all day, Zummersberger is in... If he had a single island, all of those lands would be untapped. But as it is, I think that Capiello is just going to lose his entire hand here.
The thing is, even if he slams... If he top decks an untapped land, and he slams the Teferi, then it's still going to get countered or killed or whatever else.
Yep, because Zummersberger has the Disinformation campaign. He's got the Disdainful Stroke. Oh. He's got Discovery.
That's actually a glimmer of hope to resolve Search for Azcanta here, because that is a card that interacts favorably with the whole Disinformation campaign shenanigans, giving you some well-needed value.
Search for Azcanta is giving Zummersberger pause, but ultimately looks like it's going to hit the battlefield here.
Yeah, it was impossible to counter it with Disdainful Stroke or Syncopate, and I don't think Zummersberger had a negate ready.
Nope.
I think otherwise he just fires it off.
Yeah, of course. So, this may yet pay dividends here for Capiello, this Search for Azcanta, although he is a little ways away from... Actually, no. If Zummersberger slams his Disinformation campaign, then the Search for Azcanta can flip next turn. And that's step one. It's step one of about 15, but still
I wouldn't call
one.
it a comeback yet, but it's...
Well, don't call it.
It has the potential.
Don't call it a comeback, Simon. Never. You should never call it a comeback. So, the Austrian, deep in the tank now, and it's a Blood Operative, which explains the Watery Grave being tapped. Back to Capiello.
And Zummersberger missed his trigger. He didn't exile a card from Capiello's graveyard.
Oh, no, he did not. So he's happy enough to let Capiello run the risk of flipping his search. And now this was an interesting question here for the Austrian to answer. Does he counter the Crackling Drake?
Yes.
Okay, well, a nice easy question for him to answer.
You counter the Drake, you Disinformation campaign the last card out of
Capiello's hand.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's not really a question because it redraws.
Well, it's no less of a question just because it has an easy answer.
yeah, okay. It's a. It's not even a rhetorical question. It's just
You could
what
say
value
it's a
does a
question.
question have?
A question. I mean, a question is just something that.
Has a question mark.
Well, yeah, is a question. I mean, that a question is something that seeks some form of an answer or information. Yes.
Even if the information content is very low.
A question's questionness isn't defined by, yes, the quality of its answer. 5 mana here. Are we going to see Doom Whisperer? Wow. Zummersberger just does not care about this Teferi resolving because it's going to.
Doesn't care at all. Basically knows that he has all kinds of ways to deal with Teferi. If Teferi -3s on Doom Whisperer, then he's just dying to Blood Operative.
Mhm.
If Teferi pluses, you just attack him. And Zummersberger has the backup Restless Contempt, so he's just saying,
Yeah.
"Look, I'm kind of winning here."
Go for it, buddy. I'm going to play my 5 mana 6/6. And, Seal Away hits the bin. Now, that's an interesting one because that means that Capiello could have cast Teferi, untapped 2 lands, and then sealed something away, which would have actually saved the Teferi from...
Why did he not keep it?
That seems
Did
bonkers.
Did he think that he needed the card in the graveyard, maybe?
But, okay, let's backtrack here. Capiello draws the Seal Away. The Search for Its Counter still flips. He has 5 mana, and his cards in hand are Teferi, Seal Away. He casts the Teferi, goes upstairs. Teferi goes to 5 loyalty, untaps 2 lands. Zummersberger presumably attacks with both creatures, or 1. Either way, Seal Away the big one, the largest one, and then your Teferi is still alive.
Yeah, I mean, that's assuming that Zummersberger's draw step, that he can manipulate almost, how much he wants.
He does have another disinformation campaign in hand, so he can just remove the Seal Away. All right.
And he can just surveil at any time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's really no way that you're getting that Seal Away.
Okay.
What you would have gotten is you would have sealed away the Blood Operative, which I think is a fine play. But then you're
just cast the Seal Away in response.
Yeah, sure. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
It's just you're losing your Teferi either way. And that was what Helmut was banking on.
So, Capiello does succeed ultimately in removing that Doom Whisperer. And now Zummersberger with a Blood Operative which can contest the Teferi very neatly. And that's all that Capiello really has going for him apart from this Azcanta the Sunken Ruin. Zummersberger firing on all cylinders. It's been great to see this weird deck get it done in the feature match area here at GP Lille.
Absolutely. And I think Azcanta is going to go down once again.
Oh, we got a Field of Ruin.
Yep.
Oh no, look at this. Capiello's doom is complete here, and Zummersberger isn't bothering to whisper about it either.
Don't you hate when your disinformation campaign just loses all its discard value?
Yeah. This is like it's a 3 mana draw card now. What a stinker. What a stinker it is, Simon. We've seen it single-handedly take apart 2 games, but still, what a stinker. So both players fetch out a basic here after that Field of Ruin activation destroyed the Search for Azcanta. Or sorry, the Azcanta the Sunken Ruin.
Yeah.
It's even more ruinous now.
Doesn't really make sense, right?
Well, no, it's not a Field of Ruin, isn't it? It's like a Lake of Ruin, or I don't know if it's a lake or on the sea, actually. I'm not going to commit to that, but it is Field of Ruin targeting your Sunken Ruin. It's like, all right, does nothing.
Resolves,
it's fine, whatever. How can you... I guess there are degrees of ruinousness. Like a ruin can be more or less ruined. Chemist is inside off the top here for Capiello, so Zummersberger's smiling from ear to ear. His disinformation campaign's finally going to have some targets. Double land off the top there for Capiello. Cannot catch a break, this poor fellow.
We've also mentioned how there isn't too much graveyard hate running around in Standard, despite all these recursive threats, and Blood Operative is kind of doing both. It's recursive threat and graveyard hate at the same time.
That's very true. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a bad one here as we see Invoke the Divine destroy a disinformation campaign in response to the trigger.
Small victory.
A small victory, but a victory nonetheless. In comes Blood Operative now. Going to gain back some of that life. Invoke the Divine also doing a good job of buffering the life total of Capiello, but Zummersberger's up to 25. So, another disinformation campaign just to draw a card.
I'm really wondering now how this Deemer deck does against Golgari. Because that is the test that you have to pass.
Yep. The Golgari test.
I'm not surprised that you can beat up on creatureless control decks with this kind of build.
So Capiello, nothing doing for him, my friends. The cards really didn't fall his way after once again, the value train pulled out of the station with Helmut Zummersberger at the wheel. I guess trains don't really have wheels. You understand what I'm saying. The metaphor kind of fell apart. The point is, Zummersberger crushed his enemies, saw them driven before him, and Capiello is his latest victim as the Austrian continues to go from strength to strength here, Simon. 5-0, improving to 6-0, and he's slammed himself into day number 2. We will see Demir Surveil at the tables in day number 2 of GP Lille.
And you could see how he was explaining to his opponent how easy it is for him to dismantle control there.
He was saying, look, mate, honestly, you had no chance. You could have saved yourself about 15 minutes if you just packed up right at the beginning, because what you want to do, as soon as I start playing these stone cold killers, pick them up, off you go and get yourself a sandwich. That's how it goes. That's what you know what Helmut.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So that's exactly what he was doing. That's right. There you go. Take it from him. Not from me. I'm not saying anything. I'm not casting any shade, my friends, because I live in a glass house. Let's move on, my friends. We do have, of course, the ads to bring you. Can't believe your luck. But after that, we'll be back with Time Walk Magic. Simon and I will be back here with you for that. So stick around. We'll be back live from GP Lille after this. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the tournament floor here at GP Lille. My name's Riley Knight, joined by my good friend and coverage... Well, sorry, I don't mean to tie you with that brush, Simon. Joined by someone that knows me, Simon Gertsen, the Pro Tour champion. It's great to have your company as we get into some time walk magic here at GP Lille. Of course, round number 6 is, of course, win and in magic. Rob Catton and Christian Hauck playing for a spot in day number 2. Rob Catton out of England, and, of course, Christian Hauck, the German, who made... has had a pretty good run of things. Look at this, 23rd ranked player in the world after a PT top 8 and a bunch of other really good results.
No, will be captaining the German team at the World Magic Cup.
Looking forward to seeing that. Germany, the third team on my docket after the mighty Australia and the inestimable Scotland. But they're a good backup option, as they proved last year with their, I think, top 4 at the WMC.
Yep.
I just pretended I'd been going for them the whole time, and I think everyone believed me as well. No one managed to realise the trickery into the deception.
Well, it's fine to root for Australia the first couple of rounds and then just forget about them quietly.
Listen here, buddy. Listen here. I'm not going to take that kind of lip from you. How many World Cup teams have you been on?
0.
Exactly. So I feel like I can speak with a little more authority.
I think that just proves my point.
Simon, my mother is watching. Would you mind please to not completely dismantle me in this way?
I didn't know your mother was watching.
No parent should ever have to watch the complete annihilation of their child like that. Oh, my goodness me. Speaking of annihilation, Cast Down annihilates this Merfolk Branchwalker as Hauck tries to get on the board, but Esper Control is going to do its very best to prevent that from happening. Here's Jade Light Ranger, however. Ooh, Sinister Sabotage. Rob Catton, the man with the answers.
Yeah, of course, doesn't want Hauck to generate that much value here. And Hauck's list is the greediest I've seen all weekend yet. 4 Carnage Tyrants, 4 Fine Finality. And rather, you might ask yourself, how is he playing all these 6-drops? He's just put 4 Druid of the Cowl in his deck.
This is the weirdest take on Golgari mid-range that I've seen. It is ridiculous. I mean, anyone who is even remotely familiar with what these mid-range, this Golgari mid-range list looks like, they know it's 3 ovs, 2 ovs, 1 ovs, very rarely 4 ovs, but here and there. You know, the deck list is as long as your arm. This one, it's 4 ovs almost all the way down.
Yep, it's really crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Also, very very streamlined on the Planeswalkers. 3 Vivian Reed, okay, but then 2 Karns, not even bothering with 6-drop Planeswalkers, 6-drop Vraskas, or any Vraskas, actually. Super interesting. Maybe overdoing it a little bit. That's always the danger. I said I love the 3 Carnage Tyrants 3 Finality. I think that's just strictly better than the 2+2.
Yep.
But 4+4, that's...
Well, if 3 is strictly better than 2 and 2...
Yeah, logic,
right? Here's a second Thief of Sanity here for Rob Catton. These are coming in out of the board, 3 copies of them in the board there, in addition to 2 Vona, the Butcher of Magan. I like Thief of Sanity.
Mm-hmm.
You played it in draft?
Oh, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Ever had anyone concede when it hits the battlefield?
No.
That's a good feeling. Actually, no, it's a very bad feeling because it means you can't beat them with their own cards.
Before it has triggered a single time?
Yeah.
That's maybe a bit premature.
Oh well, such is the fear that I inspire my opponents, Simon.
Also, if you really put somebody on tilt, and they're already like cursing their life, and then you do something like that, then it's just over, right? It's just like you're always so lucky. You manipulate your draws illegally. Report it.
Yeah, report it. Yeah, enjoy your ban. As we see, Assassin's Trophy downgrade the Thief into a basic. I did have someone, when I was using my coverage account in preparation for an event one time, I had a particularly fortuitous top deck, and I enjoyed my opponent, who I think their profession was a salt miner or manufacturer of some kind. I don't know. They're definitely in the salt industry in any case, because they said, do you enjoy playing with an account where you can stack your deck and choose whatever you top deck? I did not respond.
Taking the high road.
But the thing is, like, we don't use that button very often, right? I mean, you only use it, like...
No, I don't need it.
Oh, you don't use it... Oh, yeah, okay, because you're always so lucky. Yeah. Here's Carnage Tyrant now for Christian Hauck. See, I have to sometimes. I have to use the little mod tools that let me, manipulate my draws and, stack the opponent's deck so they only draw lands, whatever else. But, by the way, for anyone who isn't clear, this is a very clear joke.
Too late.
There's no way. There's no way. We cannot do this. It doesn't happen. Jade Light Ranger now explores away a Llanowar Elves And Vivian Reed on top as well. Hulk's going to put that one back.
Yeah, nice high impact card on top. Could have gone for the greedy play, put it in the graveyard, try to hit some more lands. But of course he already has 6, so...
And a Ritual of Soot means that both of those Jade Light Rangers heading straight for the yard. And follow-up Disdainful Stroke for that Vivian Reed. A tidy turn cycle here for Rob Catton.
Beautiful play.
Yep.
I mean, really, really beautiful. Just perfectly managing threats and answers and when to have which counter magic up. Ritual of Soot, take care of your 2/3/2s. Hauk was aware that there was a risk, but he said, I'm very likely going to resolve Vivian Reed because my opponent can't have everything. But didn't work out.
So Hulk now follows it up with a Duress, revealing 2 copies of Vraska's Contempt. One of them's going to hit the bin, but already Catton's removal suite, we've seen how powerful it is with, not only stuff like Vona's Hunger removing that Carnage Tyrant from play, but Ritual of Soot doing so much work on those less expensive creatures. Vraska's Contempt off the top now for Hulk as well as he gets busy with the Merfolk Branchwalker. Catton's done well to keep himself in it so far, but he needs to start stringing together some draws.
Now you need to top deck. Now you need to draw Teferi or Chromium, something to close out the game. And Hulk just as well wants to draw those Carnage Tyrants, Fine Finalities, and so on. Wow. Both players just drawing lands.
That's ultimately going to favour Catton in the long run, you would think, if he can find something like a Teferi or a Chromium and start to get the value train running.
Catton definitely top decks better here. He can just draw Chemist's Insight.
Oh, but look at this, slamming this Teferi into play like it's going out of fashion here. Rob Catton very firmly stating his intent, and that's a ferocious top deck, Simon.
Yep.
Hauk, however, as you were saying before you were so rudely interrupted, has the higher density of high impact cards.
Well, it's really difficult to say because the problem for Hauk is he needs to draw very very particular cards, and even the explore creatures are kind of slow when you're already facing something. Catton, I believe, had only a few cards to draw, but he was due for a Teferi or one of his big creatures, and those Chemist's Insights, I think, tipped the scales in his favor.
Another copy of Duress now for Christian Hauk. Let's see what he wants to do with it. Essence Scatter and Vraska's Contempt. I mean, Chemist's Insight is an option, but is that really something you want to Duress away?
I would take it.
Really?
Yeah. Why not? You want to cast that Vraska's Contempt onto Teferi. I was actually surprised that Hauk didn't do that in response to the +1. But Hauk probably figured, I'm going to take the counter magic, and then I'm going to contempt the Teferi. Chemist's Insight is just more cards that draw Catton towards his relevant cards, but also towards the counter magic you fear most.
So, Catton discards his Essence Scatter to cast his Chemist's Insight and finds, I think, just a couple of lands here. So away goes Teferi.
We've seen some unbelievable sequences of draws here.
Yeah.
Basically whiffing on all angles.
Yeah, this is...
And this is where you can see how good it was to pick the Chemist's Insight. Because otherwise, Catton would just discard one of his dead cards, get 2 cards deeper towards... basically, that's like a double time walk in this kind of state.
So even after that Teferi, Christian Hauk has dealt with it very, very tightly. I tell you what, after this match, these two should start talking about going into business with each other, building playgrounds, because the swings here have been incredible.
Oh, that might have been unnecessary
Oh,
from
no.
Rob.
Oh, no. Yes, Catton probably should have waited till the end of turn here, because now Vivian Reed, punish, never lucky here for Rob Catton, firing off that premium removal spell.
No, that was just unnecessary. Look at the life totals.
Yeah, just wait, right?
You take 2.
Yeah. But a Syncopate here for everything.
Still, I don't agree with that. I think that's just a waste of a Vraska's Contempt.
Catton ships now. He's already had 1 Teferi dealt with and 2 copies of Thief of Sanity. He'll have other threats, for sure. Whether it's Chromium, whether it's Vona, whether it's the 3rd Thief of Sanity. But still, of course, Teferi. Well, this looks like a search for Azcanta. Yes, indeed. Llanowar Elves now for Hauk. Both these players, I tell you what, love the pace at which they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Really important. Played at such a speedy clip.
And now the door is kind of closing. I mean,
Yeah.
look at Hauk's lands.
Yeah.
He's not drawn the amount of action that he would need, which is very surprising actually. He has those 8/6 drops, or actually in this matchup, Fine Finality is probably more of a 2-drop, but still crazy.
And it's only going to get worse from here now as Catton is able to start to ride his Azcanta towards victory. Lionel Royale's presenting pretty irrelevant clock here, and a cast down off the top as well. Ooh, hello.
Mm-hmm. I believe 2 detection towers in the main deck.
Yeah, it is a little bit of bulk rare action there from M19.
The control decks came to Lille ready to rumble, ready to defeat those green decks, no matter how many Carnage Tyrants they run.
So if you need a refresher on what Detection Tower does, it obviously taps some mana, but you can also pay 1 and tap it to remove Hexproof from your opponent's creatures. Oh, and from the opponent as well, right?
I honestly don't know.
I think it does. I think it completely wrecks like Shalai. It just turns Shalai into a 3/4. Here is another Vraska's Contempt, and Catton was a little overeager, a little frisky in drawing that extra card here. And we're going to see an activation of Teferi as kind of the Sunken Ruin in response. So 4 cards off the top, looking for a piece of counter magic, and finds 4 lands instead. Reveals them as well. Does the old, oh, look at this, look how unlucky I am. No wonder you're beating me. And away goes Teferi number 2. So Hauk keeping himself in it, although doesn't look great here for him. Catton untaps 2 lands. Has to think about it. How counts him up. I think he's got another Vivian in hand. Yeah, he does. So he's counting up whether he can be syncopated here. And it looks like I think there's a discussion at the table right now with the judge because he forgot to draw from his Teferi. Rob Catton. He remembered to untap the 2 lands at the end of turn, but after the activation of Search for Azcanta, Azcanta the Sunken Ruin, one day I'll get that right, he missed. He didn't refuse. No, he was going, draw a card. Like, no, I'll never do it. He obviously missed it there. So a judge has been pulled in to figure that one out. So we might be able to speed up through this judge call, I think. We'll see if we can perhaps increase the pace a little bit while this judge call is going on, while things get figured out, because not a lot of action to be seen right now while the judge is at the table figuring out exactly what happens here. So we'll whiz through this one as fast as we can. That's the magic of editing, as the players continue to discuss what's going on. And we're almost there. Looks like it. We're back at it here with a Vivian Reed coming down.
And Hauk is making a comeback here. He has dealt with 3 Teferis, and that Azcanta hasn't really produced much of value.
So Carnage Tyrant is the pick from the Vivian Reed, and Rob Catton looks at all the cards in his hands like, geez, there's a sticky wicket here. Although he does have that Eldest Reborn in addition to a cast down, which can clear up his dinosaur problem very easily.
And I think that has to be his plan. He needs to start tackling these permanents, and then the Eldest Reborn should take out one of these big threats.
Yeah, whether it's the Vivian Reed or the Carnage Tyrant here. Although, I mean, yeah, I think this is the way to go for Catton here, removing all of the other possible targets in order to ensure the Carnage Tyrant is the victim of that Eldest Reborn. Didn't fire off that cast down in the end step. Obviously wanted to keep counter magic available for some reason, but with all the mana in the world, effectively, I mean, he's not too worried.
Now we see the power of Detection Tower.
Whoa. Activating Detection Tower to cast down on the Carnage Tyrant. Oh, look at that.
Yep. Rob Catton came ready.
He came prepared, I'll tell you that. Doesn't care about hexproof. Hex vulnerable at this stage is Carnage Tyrant.
Now Hauk is just going to drop a Carnage Tyrant each turn.
And it's just going to be made hex. The hexproof is going to go away. You know, I was playing. I was teaching an old friend of mine to play Magic one time, and I had a creature with hexproof, and she went to kill it with a removal spell, and I was like, no, it doesn't work because it's got hexproof. She's like, yeah, I know, but I'm casting a sorcery. It's not a hex. I'm like, no, it's sorry. It doesn't quite work like that.
Nice try.
Nice try. Nice angle shoot there in your like third game ever of Magic. Back to Catton now. Got a lot of lands. Is he going to be able to deal with this Carnage Tyrant over and over again? Another Detection Tower says yes.
Just in case.
Just in case the first one crumbles. Now, here is Teferi. Oh, tapping both of the Detection Towers? It's a good augury for Christian Hulk. Oh, going to tuck away the Llanowar Elves and then cast the Eldest Reborn.
Doesn't even need the Detection Tower.
Had him, doesn't need him, doesn't want him. Is he going to be able to stabilize here in the face of...
I would be much too scared to not have at least that one Detection Tower.
I would just leave one. I mean, the cost is so low to just leave one of them up. I guess he doesn't have anything in his hand that he wants, but I think he's got a Chemist's Insight, so we could... I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter. At this stage, we have Teferi on 1, Eldest Reborn on 1, and Christian Hulk...
Both going to 2 next turn.
Both going to 2 next turn. And probably 3 the turn after that, if Catton has his way. Maybe he'll be the one bringing back Carnage Tyrants here. Ravenous Chupacabra in hand, in addition to a... I think that was a Vraska's Contempt for Hulk. German is looking for ways to get himself back in it. He's drawn so many cards. He's drawn so many lands. And it looks like Catton may have missed his untapped trigger here.
No, he -3.
Yeah, of course, there's no untapped trigger to be had. Whoops. You just sort of assume, like, you just sort of have in your head that Teferi only costs 3. Sinister Sabotage gets rid of the Vraska's Contempt, and a Ravenous Chupacabra is a 4-mana 2/2.
Yeah, that scry is a bit wasted when you activate Ascanta at the end of turn. Or you don't,
So
because it's such a good card.
Yep.
Wow.
So leaves it on top, draws it for the turn. Back to Hulk now after having discarded a card and activated Teferi. You'd think he's just going to ship. No, play a second Teferi. All right. And tuck away that Ravenous Chupacabra. Wow. Back to Hulk.
Catton is quite aggressive with his Teferis.
Really is. And a Jade Light Ranger is going to eat an Essence Scatter that I think has been in his hand for about 500,000 squillion years. And as a result, Christian Hulk says, yep, mate, look, you got me. I'm drawing duds. You've got your Teferi, you've got your Eldest Reborn, and I think that is just about that. So we're going to wrap up our coverage of this round here and now, ladies and gentlemen. We do have more Magic to bring your way throughout the afternoon. Of course, 2 more rounds of Win and In with you coming your way, and with you are going to be Tim and Moraine. Of course, we're going to take a step back and let them get underway with round number 7. But stick around, my friends, because after this, it's more live Magic, more Win and In coming your way from GP Lille.